Tell me, how can you advocate for parental leave if the existing policy isn't up to par? Like, what can we actually do to change things?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. I think about it in a four-step structure or framework. So first, I'll start off with the number one thing that's important to do is to educate your company. And I've found that oftentimes policies just haven't been formed. They're outdated. They haven't been reviewed in years. It wasn't actually a bunch of folks up at the top being like, let's make some really bad policies. It was just something that maybe was never worked on or maybe was really never thought through. So it's a great time to really come together, and I'll walk you through the steps, but to really educate those at kind of the top who are the key decision makers on why it matters to go change these policies. So the first thing that you should really think about doing is pull together data and research of comparable companies and comparable, kind of companies within your industry. So, if we are Webflow, who are kind of the maybe top different companies we really compare ourselves to as we think about top talent, and then really go and look at what are their policies, how are they treating this? Is there anything that we can learn from them? The second thing that's really important to do is to meet with leaders and peers from the company, ideally parents or people who want to be parents or people who are really kind of like allies to families. So really get together form a group of people to advocate for a change in parental leave policy together and work on gathering that data across your network. The third thing then to do, and we actually, a group of us right here on this call, we did this at Slack where we found an ally and a sponsor who was willing to champion this discussion at the executive level. So really, you've got this whole group of people, maybe some are more junior in their career, some are more senior, but it's really important to have this executive that's going to be the sponsor for this. So work with them and take these findings to the executive team and have a productive conversation. That's actually one of the most key things here is don't go in combative, don't go in blaming, don't go in telling them what they need to do, but be very clear in your asks and your education of what a good parental leave policy should look like. And then finally, be a bit selfish and advocate for yourself and don't be ashamed and don't feel any guilt. Sales in particular has a ton of nuances on parental leave. I think probably more so than any other role that's out there because you're thinking about things like your quota, your book of business, who's going to cover your accounts when you're out? What happens if an opportunity closes when you're out that you've been working on for years? Or what happens if an opportunity starts in one of your accounts and now all of a sudden you've come back? Do you take it? Does the former rep take it? So there's a lot of nuances within sales that are really important to think through with your leader and with the sales leadership team. So make those asks. Make the asks for things like a ramped quota when you're coming back into work. Make the asks for protection over your accounts or deals that might close when you're out. And honestly, one of the most important things that you can do is ensure that you have an adequate leave coverage plan. Very similar to what Lauren was saying. When I went out on my last leave, I put together this behemoth of a coverage plan, and I made it very clear of here's when I want to be contacted and here's when I don't want to be contacted. Key hirings, final round interviews, firings, terminations. I made it like very black and white of like, here's what my needs are and here's when I expect to still be brought in. And then even different cycles. First month, I don't want to be talked to at all. Months 2 and 3, totally okay to reach out to me. So I would also say for ICs, for sales reps, for really anyone, be very clear with what your asks are and what your needs are for when you go.